Hi, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Namaskaram. Vanakkam. Welcome to Tapovan Sandhya Sangam Zoom show on this Sunday, 25th of May 2025. This is our episode number 174, and we propose about more shows as we go along. Well, Vedanta Desika was born in the 13th century, and he had penned the poem Hamsa Sandesha, which means the message of the swan. He had imagined Lord Rama, the hero of Ramayana, sending a message to his wife Sita, who was abducted by Ravana and put in Ashoka Vatika, through a swan. This poem consists of 110 verses divided into two parts. The first part says that Rama describes the route to be followed by the swan, the locations to be touched and taken a break. And the second part describes the destination of Sita, where she is been put, the kind of people that are living there, the kind of costumes that they wear, and to identify them. Well, we'll get to know more about this from our guest speaker joining us this evening from Chennai, Mrs. Rajani Arjun Shankar. Welcome to the show, madam. Well, we begin the show as usual with a prayer followed by the guest introduction. And after the guest speaker will take over on her completion, we will have an open session where we open for our views, observation, comments, feedback, and even ask questions. The guests will be more than happy to answer. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a summary and vote of thanks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's kickstart the show. Coming up first is the prayer. Joining us from Chennai is Mrs. Rajika Rajagopalan, who sing the prayer for us. Rajika, madam, kindly unmute your microphone and go ahead.
வாரணமுகவாதுணை அருள்வாய் அருள்வாய் தயவாய் வாரணமுகவாதுணை வருவாய் அருள்வாய் தயவாய் வாரணமுகவாதுணை வருவாய் அருள்வாய் தயவாய் வாரணமுகவா ஆரண பொருளான கந்த ஆரண பொருளான கந்த ஆரண பொருளான கந்த கானாமுததிக்குள் கருணாமுதமுதவிய அருள்மத ஆரண பொருளான கந்த கானாமுததிக்குள் கருணாமுதமுதவிய அருள்மத வாரணமுகவா துணை வருவாய் இன்னிசை இயல் இலக்கியம் ஆரியம் தமிழ் அறிவேதும் இன்றி இன்னிசை இயல் இலக்கியம் ஆரியம் தமிழ் அறிவேதும் இன்றி கண்ணலன்னை கண்டகானா முதனன் நூலை கண்ணலன்னை கண்டகானாமுத நன்னூலை உன்னும் கவி குஞ்சரதாசன் நான் உன்னை துணிந்தேன் பண்ண துணிந்தேன் உன்னும் கவி குஞ்சரதாசன் நான் உன்னருள் கொண்டேன் பண்ண துணிந்தேன் முன்னவனே முன்னின்றால் முடியாததொன்றில்லை ஆதலால் அதிவேகவே வாரணமுகவா துணை வருவாய் அருள்வாய் தயவாய் வாரணமுகவா.
Thank you, Radhika madam, for the wonderful rendition of the prayers, giving perfect start to the show. As we move to the next segment of introducing the guest speaker, Mrs. Uma Anantaram Krishna with the honors. Uma madam, please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody in Tapovan Sandhya Sangam. Today we welcome Smt Rajani Arjun Shankar. Rajani madam is a Sanskrit teacher who is also involved in translation of proofreading of Sanskrit texts. She was a teacher in the Krishnamurti Foundation School for a few years, teaching English, social studies, and other subjects. Rajini Madam has volunteered for many years with near a trust that works for sensitive urban greening with a focus on indigenous trees. Welcome, Rajini Madam.
Thank you, Madam, for the wonderful, short and sweet introduction of the guest speaker. And it's now time for the guest speaker to take over, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we'll have our mic in mute status so that we don't disturb our first speaker. On her completion, we'll have an open session. Rajini, Madam, the floor is all yours now.
Thank you very much. Are you all able to see my screen?
Sorry?
Are you?
I can see your screen, but your voice is very low.
Okay, 1 minute. I'll just come close this. Am I better? Is it better now, the audio?
Yes, but it's better now. It's better.
Okay, so let me start my presentation on Hamsa Sandesham, Kavyam, a short work by Sri Vedanta Deshika. As our host has already said, it's a Khanda Kavyam written by the author who was born in the 13th century. So a short introduction about Sri Vedanta Deshika. He is no ordinary poet. He's a revered Acharya in Sri Vaishnavam and born in 1268. Common era. He was multiple things actually. He was not just a poet or a philosopher or an acharya. He was so many things at the same time. A philosopher, logician. He is called Tarkika Simham. In Tarka, he is considered a lion. Poet and many other things. In fact, he is even considered, he is even said to have built a wall with uneven bricks, something which is very difficult to do. So even with his hands, various arts and crafts, he was very talented. He was a blessed soul, a divine soul. He's supposed to be a avataram of the divine bell of Tirumala temple. His name, the name given by his parents is Sri Venkatanatha, and this Vedanta Deshika is the epithet later on given to him. One of the titles he has is Sarva Tantra Swatantra, which means all various arts and crafts, all areas of education, learning come to him. But despite all these very, very great achievements, he lived a very simple life of devotion and detachment. He was not at all interested in money or fame or any comforts, anything. And total surrender is what he lived in. There are many works he has written. Of course, he has written many scriptural works. I'm only talking about the poetic works. One of them is a Mahakavya called Yadavabhyudaya, which, as the name indicates, it's the life history of Krishna Charitram. Then he has written this Khandakavyam. So Mahakavyams are very big works. They would typically have 10 to 15 sargas and all. Khandakavyam would have 1 or 2 sargas, maybe around 100 to 200 verses and so on. So he has written one such, which is what we're going to see today. And there are many stotras of which are very popular, which are very well known. Raghuvira Gadyam, which is the entire Ramayana as a praise to Rama. Paduka Sahasram, Gopala Vimshati, Shri Stuti, Garuda Dantakam, Daya Shatakam. All of them are very well known. Many people learn them and sing them with, chant them with great devotion. Okay, now let's come to this Hamsa Sandesham. It's a short work of 110 verses and it is inspired by and a tribute to Kalidasa's Megha Sandesham, which is also called as Meghadutam. Meghadutam, interestingly, was inspired by Sundarakandam of Valmiki Ramayana, which we can see in multiple hints given by Kalidasa in his work. So it's very interesting how Meghadutam was inspired by Sita and Rama, and inspired that book, Deshika has written a book where Rama and Sita again are the main characters. So the very touching and amazing fact is that among poets, they have so much love and respect and admiration for each other that exhibits in such a very broad-minded and beautiful way. One example is how Deshika, who is a great acharya and who has no dearth of his own topics or his own imagination, has actually paid a tribute by having so many common features to Megha Sandesham. There are so many things, including many phrases, words, ideas, Everything you find in Kalidasa's, you find it. I'm going to tell you about the commonalities very soon. So that is itself a tribute. So that shows his love and admiration for Kalidasa. In fact, people have noted that his liking for Kalidasa's work is found in other stutis also. For example, in Varadaraja Stuti, you find a particular description of Lord Varadaraja, which is exactly similar to exactly like the description found in Kumara Sambhavam of Kalidasa. Okay, so like this. One more example, not connected to these two people, is how poets are so much beyond all these differences. Is this Yadavabhyudayam written by Vedanta Deshika? The commentary for that was written by Appaya Dikshita, who is actually an Advaiti. So though they are they have differences in philosophy and Ishtadevam, etc. Their broadness, the broadness of their thinking is very evident in such things. Okay, so now let's go to first understand what is Meghadutam. So Meghadutam, in that, it's a story of how a yaksha talks to a cloud, a megham, and sends a message to his wife. To where he is from. He is from Alakapuri because he's a yaksha. We know that is Kubera's place and his servants are all called as yakshas. He has been cursed to spend 1 year in this place called Ramagiri. So he cannot go back home till that year is over. That's why he needs to send a message to her. He's wondering how she is doing, how much she must be missing him, and he's also missing her, and he sends a very beautiful message. So he tells the cloud, this is the route that you must take to Alaka. And using that as a pretext, Kalidasa describes the various places. Ramagiri, where the yaksha is stationed, it is people have said that it is near Nagpur. A lot of research has been done on the places mentioned by Kalidasa. Amarkantak, which he called as Amrakuta, which Kalidasa calls. So that mountain, then you will see the Narmada river, then you will see Ujjaini, then you will see a river called Charmanvati. So each of these places are described by 1 or 2 verses, etc. So Kurukshetra is the place you will see. Then you will see Ganga flowing in Haridwar, which is near a place called Kanakhal. Then you will see the Himalayas. And if you cross the Himalayas, you will see Kailasam, and there you will see Alaka. This is how the Yaksha gives directions to the cloud. Okay, it's a very, very well known and celebrated work. Even those who don't even know what is inside it would have surely heard of Kalidasa and Meghadutam. So I've just put the picture of a postage stamp brought out by the government of India some years back, which is the picturized depiction of this cloudy season. You can see the clouds, the cranes flying there, the kutaja flowers, which is a kind of raitia flowers which are blooming there in the rainy season, and the yaksha talking to the cloud. And the lines of those 2 lines from the kavyam are given below. Ashadhasya prathama divase megham ashlishta sanum vaprakrida parinata gaja prekshaniyam dadarsha. On the first day of Ashadham, he saw this cloud. Okay, now that we have understood a bit about the context for Meghadutam, so this will help us to appreciate Hamsa Sandesham even more. Now coming to this book, here Rama sends a message to Sita. Now you must be wondering, when did Rama have time? Didn't he already send Hanuman with a message, with his ring and all that? So what is the need for a second message? Now when he sent Hanuman, knowledge of where Sita was and all was not there, and how she is, etc. But now, after Hanuman comes back, that night, after Hanuman has returned and narrated everything about Sita, about their entire conversation, that night, everybody has gone to sleep. Next day, they are planning to set out for the seashore to start fighting, to go across the sea and go to Lanka. But then Rama is awake all night, and at dawn, he sees a Hamsa, a swan, in the lotus tank, which is nearby in that Kishkinda area. That time he feels he should send a message to Sita that he is well, and he should give her some words of comfort and reassurance, a promise that they will be setting out, wasting no time to come and rescue her. So these things he wants to convey to her, and he feels that to go to Lanka, you need somebody who can fly. Okay, so obviously a Hamsa is the best candidate because it's a powerful bird which normally travels from somewhere in India to Manasarovar every rainy season. So the poetic belief found in many kavyas is that Hamsas don't like cloudy season. They don't like rains because the rains make the waters muddy, and they like only very clear waters, pure waters. And therefore, when the rainy season starts, or even before that, the Hamsas all migrate to Manasa Sarovar, which is beyond the Himalayas. And after that, after the season, they come back to India and go back to their respective ponds or rivers or wherever, where the rain has got over and the waters have settled down and become plentiful and clear also. Okay, so that is when, because the waters are no longer moving around and muddy, lotuses also start blooming. That's why we always imagine Sharat Kalam, the post-monsoon season, as when there are a lot of lotuses, the skies are clear, and that's why the moon is beautiful. Sharat Chandra is very beautiful. There are no black clouds obstructing it, and the Hamsas come back. So overall, it's a very pure and clean and beautiful season. So this is the season when he is doing this. So what are the common features between the two kavyas? Both have stemmed from the imagination of the poets. They are not based on real incidents which happened in the Itihasa or Puranas. So Meghadutam is entirely Kalidasa's imagination. Similarly, Hamsa Sandesham is entirely Desika's imagination of what happened in one small interval in a real Itihasa. Okay, so on that one night, that early morning, he saw Hamsa and he spoke to it. So both works have 2 sargas each, and the entire 2 sargas are nothing but one long monologue. It's a talk by the Yaksha. Here it's a talk by Rama. So Rama narrates many things to the Hamsa. No, don't ask. We should not ask things like, was the cloud listening? Was the Hamsa listening? That's not the point here. What Rama wants to convey, what the Yaksha wants to convey is the most important thing. And this, both the poets are very careful to give a beautiful disclaimer in the beginning. They say that both Rama as well as Yaksha are described as so moved in their state of viraha. They are so much involved in the thoughts of the well-being of their wives that they are not going to discern between who is eligible Duta here or not. They feel that at that point, this Megha can go all the way to Alaka, and similarly Hamsa can go all the way to Lanka. So that is the justification. Their emotional state of mind is the justification. So the 2 sargas, the first sarga describes the journey. The second sarga describes the city and the actual message. And the city, and of course the recipient and the actual message. The length of the sargas are very similar. In both cases, they are around 50 or 60 in both kavyas. And in both cases, you find that when it comes to their own city, the beloved city of origin, both of them have taken a lot of time to describe that. So you find additional verses, about 8 or 10 verses in Meghadutam, just describing Ujjaini, which is said to be Kalidasa's birthplace, where he lived. And similarly, we know that Vedanta Deshika was born in a place called Tupul, which is part of Kanchipuram or just outside Kanchipuram. So Kanchipuram and Varadaraja Perumal is very dear to him. So he has spent a lot of verses. He has taken a lot of time to describe Kanchipuram in many, many ways. And another very, very common, very big common feature is the meter that both of them have used. Both kavyas are entirely made up of one single meter called Mandakranta. Usually kavyas, they keep changing meters. So even if you look at Bhagavad Gita, you'll find some shlokas in Anushtup. Suddenly some will become slightly longer, 11 syllable ones, Upajati. So these two keep alternating in Gita also. Same with many other books you would have noticed. But here, starting to end, only Mandakranta by Kalidasa, same by Sri Deshika also. So what is Mandakranta? We'll see that in a little while. Before that, some differences. Of course, the Meghaduta, the route is northward, whereas in Hamsa Sandesha, the route is southward. That is a very simple, basic difference. Then Meghaduta obviously is during Varsha Rutu, whereas this is focused on Sharad Rutu. Okay, so this, of course, we have to infer from some examples, some places which it's mentioned, but the Ritu is not openly mentioned in Hamsa Sandesha. Then in Meghadutam, the primary importance is given to Sringara Rasa and the secondary is Bhakti. Both are matching each other, but Sringara gets a little bit of an upper hand. Whereas clearly, because Deshika is a Acharya, he wants to teach us Bhakti and he wants to lead us to Moksha. So that is his purpose. So in this work, Bhakti Rasa is the main. And Sringaram is there, but it is much, much lesser. It is subservient to the main rasa. Then the other very mild and amusing difference is that the Yaksha is describing his own home, where he knows exactly how which plants are nearby, etc. So that way he describes can be seen, whereas Rama is describing Ashokavanam based on Hanuman's account. So all the trees, everything, it's based on what we can see in the Valmiki Ramayana, because that is what Rama would have heard from Hanuman. Okay, now let us see what is this Mandakranta meter. So it is a meter, a chandas, which has, that poetry has to have fixed syllables in every line. Only then you can call it poetry. And that's what gives it that rhythmic effect, that cadence. So the Mandakranta has 17 syllables in every line. There is a very famous shlokam in Mandakranta. When I tell you that shlokam, you will immediately understand what Mandakranta means. Shantakaram bhujagashyanam padmanabham suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogibhit Dhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. It's one of the Dhyana shlokas of Vishnu Sahasranama. So look at the way it's organized. Shantakaram, 4 long syllables. Bhujagashayanam, 6 of which 5 are small, short syllables. Last one is long. Nam is long again. Then 4 again. Padmanabham, 4 again. Suresham, 3 again. So totally if you add up 4, 6, 4 and 3, you get 17. And this order of where you can have long or guru, they are called heavy syllables, and the laghu, light syllables, short syllables, is fixed. That cannot be changed. Line after line after line, this is the exact cadence that you will hear throughout the Kavyam. And that's what makes it very beautiful to hear. And this particular meter, the word name Mandakranta itself means that which is creeping very slowly. So it suits the mood of the poem. The poem is about the hero saying something very deep and very emotional. He's narrating something and describing very deeply, etc. So the mood is very well suited for this chandas. Okay, so now let's go to the Kavyam. Let's go into the Kavyam. The Kavyam has 110 verses. I'm trying to take around 10 to 12 verses to describe today, because that will be enough for the 1 hour session, I think. Beyond that, it would become too much in one day, something to be read across a few days. That's the kind of big work it is. But this is just to give you a sample, and I'm going to read out the verses because our purpose is not just talking about not about the verses, but to hear the words strung together by the great Mahatma. Okay, his words if we hear, and since we know, all of us know Ramayana well, so it will be easy to relate to all these things quite easily. So the first verse, he says, that Lord who came down as a man, considering himself to be a human being, and he was born in the Vamsha of Surya, Savita. That Lord, he was searching for Sita, and when Hanuman came back, he became Nishchitartham. He decided, okay, tomorrow now we know where to go, what to do next. He became determined in his next step, and that night, Nisha, was kalpakaram for him. It was as long as a yugam for him, many yugams for him, because he could not wait to set out and start working towards freeing Sita. And that night he was enduring that night, which was very long for him. This is what the first verse says. So beautifully, the context has been set by the poet. He says, this is our hero, and this is where he is. This is his intention, and this is when this happened, when Pavanatanaya or Hanuman came back. And in what state is he? He hasn't slept all night. That is how he is. Vamshe jatas savituhu anaghe manayan manushatvam Deva Shriman Janakatanayan Veshane Jagarukaha Pratyayate Pavanatanaye Nishchitartha Sakami Kalpakaram Kathamapi Nisham Avibhatam Vishehe. When you look at the books, the shlokas will be a little more words clubbed together. I have just separated them and I've printed them in the slides in both Devanagari, and for in English, in Roman, for those who don't know Devanagari that well, it's the same thing, top and bottom. So whichever script you are comfortable, you can just follow that. But I've broken the words. You may not find it exactly like this when you go. For example, Savitur Anagye is what you will find. I have split it as Savituhu and Anagye, just for clarity. Okay, so that is the first verse. Now we also should see the second verse, because that's when our messenger is being introduced. So he says, next day he was going to employ the Vanara Sena of Kapikulapati Sugriva for the war. But meanwhile, he was thinking of how far away Sita is, and he was feeling sad about that. And at that time, in a lotus pond, he saw a playful, sporting swan happily playing around there. And that swan was the color of the moonlight which you see on a full moon night. Raka Chandra Dyuti. That is how the Rajahamsa was. Kalye senam kapikulapatehe turnam udyojayishyan दूरी भावात जनक दुहितुहु दूयमानांतरात्मा क्रीडा खेलम कमल सरसी क्वापि कालोपयातम राकाचंद्र द्युति सहचरम राजहंसम ददर्श. He saw the Rajahamsa just means a very big and beautiful swan. Hamsa, Rajahamsa are used synonymously. So the Hamsa reminds him of Sita in many ways. The movement reminds him of her beautiful gait, how gently, gracefully she walks. Her sari has the Hamsa Chinham, the border printed on it. That also it reminds him of. Then her voice is like the sweet, and her anklets, the sound of the anklets, all of them are very sweet, like the cooing of the Hamsa. So because of all this, he's reminded of Sita. Then he starts talking to the bird. He says that you are a very great bird. You're known for your purity, your great nature, etc. So you are the best person who can help me now by taking a message to my beloved wife who is in Lanka. And he says, it's not like you will be doing a journey just for my sake. You also have something to gain. You can see Lanka, which is a very beautiful place. And not only that, on the way, there are many wonderful sights you can see, many divine places. And as you go, the wind will definitely be very favorable to you. It will it will blow according to the direction you're going, and it will bring a lot of fragrance along with it. And so you're going to have a very pleasant journey. So he's motivating. Then one of the things he praises the swan is, you are the Vahanam of Brahma. So that is he has chosen you as the Vahanam. That itself shows your greatness. So like this, he appeases the swan and tells him to start flying in the direction of Lanka. And this describes the route to him. And in between, one of the shlokas it says is, you shall fly like a king with always an umbrella above your head. And what is this umbrella? The white clouds of Sharad Kalam are going to be your umbrella. The fragments of rainbows which are still left over from the rainy season will be the decorative gems at the end of the umbrella. The sun rays which come through the clouds will be the spokes of the umbrella. The wind will nudge these clouds forward, and therefore they'll follow you like an umbrella. So let's see this shloka. Sharopantaha Shatamakadhanushesha Chitram Shukena Sukshmakaraihi Dinakarakaraihi Kalpita Antashalakaha. Shalakas are the spokes. Udhah Paschad Uchita Gatina Vayuna Rajahamsa Chhatrayeran Abhasi Bhavataha Sharada Varivaha. So like this, he describes what a pleasant journey the swan is going to have. And then he tells him there are so many lovely sights you will see. First, when you now start your journey, when you jump up from this Malyavan mountain, which is gem-filled, and therefore your white form. See, it is gem-filled in the sense it's made up of Indraneelam, sapphire. So your white form inside it is going to look very beautiful inside it. Then you will start traversing the lands of Andhra and Karnataka. These words are actually used in the shloka. There you will find many sugarcane and rice fields, and you will find all the ladies of those villages protecting those fields so that the birds don't come and reduce the crop by eating some of it. So these girls, while chasing away the birds, they'll be talking sweetly amongst themselves. You can get to hear all that. And as you pass through villages, those girls will look at you with wide open eyes, saying, "Wow, what a beautiful swan!" And they'll be pointing to you and lifting their faces and seeing you. So he says all these are very, very nice areas, but don't waste your time. Don't spend too much time in any of this. You can see the beauty and please continue, because for my sake, you have to be quick. So what I've given here is basically the gist of the next few shlokas. Okay, so he says, so each of them would probably be one single shloka, which I've just taken the gist of, but in the interest of time. Then he says, as you keep flying, you shall see Tirumala, Tirupati hills, no? And he says this Anjanadri hills, or Anjanadri is just one of the 7, but here it refers to all 7. It is said to be Adisesha himself. And why do you say it's Adisesha? Because like Adisesha, it has 3 common features. First is it's an abode of Vishnu. Secondly, Adisesha, we know, lifts the earth on his hoods. He's the uplifter of the earth. And the mountains are also called Bhudharas. They are the ones which support the earth. We all know that mountains give stability to the earth. Okay, so they are also called as Bhumidhara or Bhudharas. So that also this mountain does. So it's also a support for the earth. Thirdly, Adisesha has many gems on his hoods. And this mountain is also gem encrusted. It has many gems inside it. So in all these ways, it is Adisesha itself. And then you find that the clouds just above the hills look like the snake skin, which has just been shed by Adisesha. This whole sight is going to delight your eyes. Vishnor Vasad Avani Vahanat Baddha Ratnaihi Shirobhihi Seshaha Sakshat Ayam Iti Janaihi Samyag Unniyamanaha Abhraihi Yuktaha Lagubhihi Achira Unmukta Nirmoka Kalpaihi. Just now shed. Achira Unmukta means just now released snake skin. Agre bhavi tadanu nayane ranjayan anjanadri. It will delight your eyes. Then after that, if you keep flying, then you will see the river, which is called Kanaka Mukhari or Swarna Mukhari. Nowadays, we call it Swarna Mukhi River. In Tamil works, it's called Pon Mugaliyar. I'm sure those of you who have heard or read the Kannappa Nayanar story would have heard this word. This is the river that he crosses and then brings water for Kalahasti, for Abhishekam to Kalahastinatha. So here, very interesting phrase by Sri Deshika. He says, this Kanaka Mukhari becomes visible to you and she brings forest flowers in her hands, which are nothing but her waves. In those Urmi Hastams, she brings flowers. He says, for the worship of Shiva. Now, some people have interpreted this as those flowers are given to Shiva. I mean, Shiva takes them and uses it to worship Lord Vishnu of Tirumala. That's one possible interpretation. For the worship of Shiva, she offers them to Shiva to worship him. Both are possible. That's the beauty of the Sanskrit language. You know, sometimes you can have these samasans which have multiple interpretations. And he says, in this place, there are many hunters. Again, this would probably remind us of Kannappa Nayanar's family, you know. So he says, when you're going across this Swarna Mukhari and all, be very quiet. If you make noise, all these hunters here may trap you. So be very, very silent. Then we go on to the next station of the next point, which the Hamsa must reach. He says, you will reach Tondai Mandalam, and in that Tondai Mandalam is called Tundira Desham in Sanskrit. So there you will see a very beautiful city called Satyavrata Kshetra, which, as we know, is another name for Kanchipuram. And in that Kshetra, you will find that Lord, who is the single source of support to the whole world, he is now lying down like a dam, as a setu, to prevent the river Vegavati, who is none other than Saraswati, who has taken the form of a river, to destroy her husband's yajna. Brahma is doing a yajna and she is very angry because she has not been chosen as the yajna patni. So she wants to wash away the entire yajna, and Vishnu lies down in between as a dam, and seeing him, Saraswati, because Vishnu is after all her father-in-law, so out of respect, she recedes. She does not go ahead with her plan to submerge the yajna. So that is being described here. Tundirakyam tadanu mahitam mandalam vikshamanaha. You'll see the great mandalam desham called Tondai Mandalam. Kshetram yayaha kshapita duritam tatra satyavratakya. See that kshetram which has no sins. Kshapita duritam. No sins possible in that place. People go there, get immediately purified. Patyau roshat salila vapusho yatra vagdevatayaha setuhu jagnye sakala jagatam eka setuhu sadevaha. So this, as we know, is reference to the Divya Desham called Tiruvekka, where the Lord lies like this. We see the picture here. He's also called as Yathoktakari or Sonnavannam Seida Perumal. Okay, so this is being listened. So as you can see, this is the 25th shloka. And the next shloka which I've taken is 33. We are still on Kanchipuram. So this itself tells you how many shlokas are there on Kanchipuram. So there he says, the cloud that Hamsas will not be afraid of. Normally, I know you people don't like clouds, but this is one cloud you should not pass away. You should enjoy and see, be near. So he says, you will see one cloud which has a lightning called Lakshmi on its chest. You'll see a cloud which is filled with a water called Karuna. Okay, normal clouds are filled with water, but this cloud is bubbling with compassion, bursting with compassion. Then this is like a Marakata Shila. It's as dark as a big emerald, slab of emerald. And just like you, other Hamsas, Deva Hamsas, which means very pure, divine sages, they come and serve with, come and enjoy this cloud. That, not only that, this Lord which you see, this Megham that you see is actually of your own family, because one of the avatars of Vishnu's is called Hamsa Avataram, no? So he says he's your own Anvavaya Agrajanma, he's your own ancestor, forefather. Lakshmi Vidyul Lalita Vapusham Tatra Karunya Purnam Ma Bhaishihi Tvam. Don't be afraid of this Megham. Marakatashila Mechakam Vikshya Megham. Shuddhair Nityam Parichita Padaha Twadrishaihi Deva Hamsaihi Hamsi Bhutaha Sakhalu Bhavatam Anvavaya Agrajanma. So like this he says, on Hastigiri you shall find this beautiful blue cloud and you should worship this Lord. Then he also says, become a fan for this. You are Hamsa, you can easily use your wings to fan this Lord, especially when he is walking with Perundevi Tayar, with Mahadevi Tayar in the garden. At that time, that is their private time, nobody, not even their close attendants are allowed there. So only they will be there. At that time, your service will be invaluable because nobody is fanning them at that time. So you can go and fan. That's the next shloka. I've not shown the shloka, but I just wanted to tell you the sentiment where Rama says. So it will be so interesting that very clearly the Kavi has told us in the beginning that Rama is considering himself a Manusha. So he is narrating about Vishnu in a very devotional tone. Okay, so these are stories which happened in Krita Yuga, this Yajna of Brahma, etc. So in Treta Yugam, when Rama is narrating this, it makes sense. It also, we are able to accept it chronologically also. So, as we saw, he says, Hamsi Bhutaha Sakhalu Bhavatam Anvavaya Agrajanma. So, this is a picture of Hamsavatara, where the Lord took a form of Hamsa to do very great Vedantic Upadesha to the gods and to the rishis. You can find the story in the Srimad Bhagavat. And now, after Chola Desham, after Tondai Mandalam, you will now enter Chola Desham. So he describes Chola Desham in many ways. He says it's a very fertile land. So look at the first two lines. Jata Pritihi Janapadam Atho Madhyamam Langhayitva. You should cross the Janapadam, the land called Madhyamam, which is what we call Nadunad, which is the place around Virupuram, etc. So you will cross that. Then you will see from far that there is one land which is all green in color because of the multiple areka nut trees, the pakumarams there. Jata pritihi janapadam atho madhyamam langhayitva durat lakshya kramuka nivaha shyamalan yahi cholan. Cholan means Choladesham. Kramukam means the kamuhu maram, we say in Tamil, no? Pakumaram. Then after that, he describes Kaveri. So I'm going to take half of these verses just for time's sake, saving some time. He says this Kaveri is so beautiful that with her flow, with her sarit, she seems to be dividing the land into two. She's like the parting of the hair, Simanta, which divides the hair into two parts. Similarly, she flows in the middle of this Chola Desham, dividing it into two. Sroto Vegat Atha Janapadam Saumya Simantayant. She creates a Simantam for this Chola Desham. And Pratyadesho Vibudha Saritaha Syandate Sahyakanya. Sahyakanya is Kaveri, the daughter of the Sahya mountains. She flows. Sandhyatsyandate means she's flowing as a rival, Pratyadesham, for Vibudha Sarit. Vibudha Sarit means Ganga. So she's a rival to Ganga, meaning she's more powerful. She surpasses Ganga in her purity and greatness. So this is actually, as you can see, a beautiful interpretation or way of putting the same idea which we find in Tondaradipodi Alvar's words, where he says, Gangayin Punidamaya Kaveri in one of his works. So in Hamsa Sandesham, in many places, with my limited knowledge of the Divya Prabandhams, I found that he is echoing the ideas given by other Alvas who are also Acharyas. I'm sure that people who are very deeply into Divya Prabandhams will be able to see many, many more such connections. This is one which I could share with you right now. So, Pratyadesho Vibhuda Saritaha. She is someone who can challenge the divine river Ganga due to her beauty, due to her purity, sanctity. Then he says, as you come to Cholanadu, you will first reach an area called Malanadu. So Mala has been interpreted as Malai, and he has called it Varsha Desham. And you will see that there he describes a Divya Desham called Thiruvellarai. It's called as Shvetagiri or Shweta Shailam. And on that you find Pundarikaksha Perumal. So this has been described by Shri Deshika as the next site which the Hamsa will see and enjoy. Prithvi Leela Tilaka Subhagam Paschimam Bhagam Esham. The western part of this Chola Desham is something like a playful tilakam, a very joyful tilakam which Prithvi Devi, Bhuma Devi. I request all of you to mute your mics. Bhuma Devi has applied on her forehead. That's how the Malanadu looks. Namna Varsham Jalachara Nadi Matrikam Gahamana. You shall enter. Gahamana means you will enter the Varsham, the place called Malanadu. I'll continue when everybody is muted their mics. There's a lot of... Please mute your mics. Lot of talk in the background. So there you will see a small hill which looks like a small part of Kailasam emerging from the earth, or it also looks like a hood of Adisesha, who's also supposed to be white in color, coming out of the earth, emerging from the earth. Drakshyasi Arat Parimitaya Magna Kailasa Drishyam Shvetam Shailam Panipatimiva Kshmatalat Ujjihanam. So this is the next Divya Desam. So we already seen how he described Tirumala, Kanchipuram, two kshetrams at least, and then the kshetram called Tiruvendarai, Divya Desam. Now he talks about Srirangam. Now all of us who know the origin or the Sthala Puranam of Srirangam will wonder, did Srirangam exist at that time? Wasn't it later that Lord Rama gave his Kuladevam, Ranganatha, to Vibhishana, and on his way back after Rama Pattabhishekam, he kept it in this island called Srirangam. So, very beautifully, Vedanta Deshika has described this as a Sesha Peetham. He says that there you will find an elevated land, which is actually Adi Sesha. And on that, this Pranavakara Vimanam is going to rest eventually. And Ranganatha shrine is going to come. So all that he says. So there on the banks of Kaveri, in a Rangam, in a island, Rangam itself means a river island, you will see this Sheshapeetham, and there you should bow your body with a lot of Shraddha, with a lot of faith and seriousness, and you should bend your body and do prostrations to this place, because that is where our Kuladhanam called Ranganatha is going to come there, and there he is going to be praised by all Munis. So right now he is in Saketa, which is Ayodhya, and now soon he is going to come here. This is what Rama says to the Hamsa. Tire tasyaha virachita padam. Actually, this tasyaha tire means on the banks of a tank called Chandra Pushkarini. He describes this in the previous shloka. There, in an island in Kaveri, you shall find a very, very sacred tank called Chandra Pushkarini, where you will see divine people, devas and devastris coming and bathing and all. There, on the banks of the Chandra Pushkarini, you will find a Seshapitham. Tasyaha tire. Virachita padam sadhubhi sevyamanam Shraddha yogat vinamita tanuhu Sheshapitham bhajethaha. With Shraddha, you should bend your body and bow to this. Yasmin asmat kuladhanataya saumya saketa bhajaha sthanam bhavyam. Bhavyam, no, it's future tense. It shall be. Munibhihi uditam Shrimato Rangadhamnaha. The rishis have said that this is going to be the place of Ranganatha. The Munibhi Uditam can also be taken as this is going to be the abode which is going to be praised by all rishis. So Srirangam is very deftly and cleverly, beautifully brought in this place, in this work. That is a Seshapitham. We see the picture here of how Vibhishana is placing the Sri Ranganatha with the Pranavakara Vimanam here. Okay, now he says you shall now go to Pandya Desham. This Pandya Desham, he says, has kings who were blessed by Shiva. Actually, this shows that Sri Vedanta Deshika has actually read the Thiruvilayadal Puranam, because he is making a reference to one particular story in Thiruvilayadal Puranam, which is called Indiran Mudimel Valayerinda Padalam. There, the Pandya king at that time is called Ugra Pandyan. He gets very angry with Indra. Indra wants to actually, Indra gets angry with him. He feels slighted by the king. So when Indra wants to attack this kingdom, the king actually goes and, with the help of the grace of Shiva, he imprisons some of the clouds in that country. So when the clouds are not able to go out, Indra wants to come and fight. The king actually defeats Indra. He throws his chakram which he got from Shiva on the head of Indra, and Indra says, okay, now I'll bless you. I shall ensure that your land will never be suffering from lack of rain. So the clouds, out of fear, give abundant rain. The kings were able to imprison the clouds. So this clear mention is described in this shloka on Pandya Desha. And he says in Pandya Desham, you're going to see many places rivaling Alakapuri in riches. Very, very fertile and prosperous places there. Then, obviously, when you come to Pandya Desham, the most important Divya Desham there is Vrishabhachalam, also known as Kallarahar Kovil or Arahar Kovil. And there he says, this is a place which is a Nitya Avasam of Vishnu. And there he is called Sundara Raja or Sundara Bahu. These are the names of Vishnu there. And you should bow to that Lord. And there in the inside those mountains, you will find a river called Silambaru or Nupura Ganga, which was born from the Manjiram or Nupuram, the anklets of Mahavishnu during his avataram as Trivikrama, when he was conquering Bali. He was defeating Mahabali. At that point, whatever water flowed from his foot became Ganga, and the water that flowed from his anklet became this river. And unlike Ganga, there's one difference between them. Both of them are equally sacred because both have come from the feet of Vishnu. But this one does not have the connection of being on Shiva's head. That is the only difference. So, Nityavasam Vrishabham Achalam Sundara Akhyasya Vishnoho Pratyasidan Sapadi Vinamad Bhagadheyam Natasyaha. You should fall at his feet. Yasya Utsange Bali Vijayinaha Tasya Manjiravantam Patho Divyam Pashupati Jatasparsha Shunyam Vibhati. So you will see Nupura Ganga also there. Even now it's called Silambar. Silambu, as you know, is the Tamil word for Nupura. Then he says, slowly you can reach the seashore. There you will find the Tamraparni river, the Malaya mountains, the wind from there, the Malaya Marutam filled with the fragrance of sandal trees, will cool you, will refresh you. And that's where the great Rishi Agastya lives. You'll reach the seaside and then take some rest before you start your very big flight of across the river, across the ocean, because there you cannot stop in between. And as you fly across the sea, you shall see the city of Lanka resting on the waters like a Rajahamsi resting on a mound of sand. And there you will find that the flags and festoons will all be waving welcome to you. Then in Lanka, you shall see many amazing sights. So Rama describes the various riches of Lanka as you see in Sundarakandam. Then he says that, okay, one question might come to our mind. Didn't all this beauty of Lanka get burnt by Hanuman? No, there was nothing left. But the fact is that it is stated in the Ramayana that Ravana got down Vishwakarma or Mayan to rebuild the city in a few days as soon as it was burnt. So that is also mentioned here. In the last date, it would have been rebuilt with even more splendor than before. It's now all new and gleaming when you go there. And look there, he says, look for a garden which has all the 6 ritus flowers blooming in it. A garden full of flowers, and especially you will find those bright red flowers of the Ashoka trees. That's why that garden is called Ashoka Vanam. It has all flowers, but Ashoka trees are highest in number there. It's predominantly Ashoka trees. In that, you will find one particular tree called Shimshupa tree. How will you know which Shimshupa tree? This is the tree where you will see the swan is going to be coming from up. So something which is visible from there is the tree which has ornaments hanging from its boughs. It's basically those ornaments. Some of them Sita had bundled them and she threw them away to the monkeys who were seated in Rishyamukha when she was being carried by Ravana. The remaining, obviously now she doesn't want to wear them. So she has just hung them on the tree in different branches. So some of her bracelets, some of her earrings, and maybe her anklets, all those are hanging. So that Simshupa tree you should look for. And once you find that tree, Rama says you're sure to find something very amazing, an amazing sight under that tree. The gem under the tree. So he says there you will find a gem. Normally, how do we get gems? We get them by mining the earth. So this gem was also found by Janaka when he was digging the earth. Okay. And normally some gems have doshams in them. The word for dosham in Sanskrit is trasam. But this is a very flawless gem. Trasahinam. So the word trasa has 2 meanings. Trasam also means fear. So this gem, the Sita of mine, is fearless. This is something we all know, no? How she talks to Ravana. She says, talks so fearlessly to Ravana, she doesn't get afraid. Of course, she's very upset by the way she talks, but still, the way she conveys Rama's bravery to him and says, don't underestimate Rama, your days will be numbered, better send me back. So those kind of talks indicate that she is indeed a very fearless Kshatriya lady. So Trasahinam you'll find. And normally, how do we get a gem? We have to work very hard, show our metal, and then the gem is gifted to us, or we can earn it. So he says, with my hard work, with my Viryam, I did a very big task of breaking Shivadhanus, and I earned this gem. Okay, Virya Shulkam, I got it as. It was not like I got it easily. So this gem is a hard-earned gem for me. And normally when you place a gem, everything around it is going to become lit up. So what is this gem lighting up? It is lighting up my family. Dinakara Kulam. The Surya Kulam has become very well lit, very bright because of this Ratna. Very beautiful description of Sita. Mule Tasyaha. At the root of the base of that Shimshupa tree, Kimapi Savanakshetra Samskara Jatam. Yatra Kwapi Sthitamapi Sakhe Trasahinam Mahimna. Kale Tasmin. அந்த காலத்துல காலே தஸ்மின் கதமபி மயா வீரிய shulkena labdham. That time I worked very hard, showed my viryam, and I got it, labdham. Drishyam tatte dinakara kula dyotakam divyaratnam. Then after this, many shlokas, 15 shlokas, Rama describes Sita. He says that this is her kind of beauty, these are her rare virtues, these are the blessings she received from Anasuya. These are the things that you will find on her, which are given by Anasuya. These are her ornaments, which she'll either be wearing or you might see them around her in the trees. This is then I'm sure you will see her looking repeatedly at the ring that she has recently got from Hanuman. She'll be keeping it where her Chudamani once was, because now that will be missing from her head. And you will see her garment, which is bordered with hamsas, like your shape. And you will see her sadness, you'll see her weeping. So Rama describes her in very, very beautiful. All these slokas, each one is worth really spending a lot of time in, but I'm just rushing through them. We're almost done. So he says, now after seeing her, you introduce to yourself to her, saying, I'm your husband's friend, and start telling her these things. And then the next 16 shlokas, Rama describes Sita, how much he loves her, how much he misses her, how much he's sorrowing for her absence and for what has happened to her. And he says, I promise you that very soon we are now going to come, we'll bridge the ocean either with stones or with my own arrows. And then the entire Vanara Sena will come and I will destroy everybody there to rescue you. And he says, till then you should stay strong. You should not drown yourself in sorrow. Think of all the great ladies, including Shachi and Parvati. All of them are at some point or the other separated from their husbands, but they obviously were reunited and they kept their courage and they were praying for it. So similarly, you should be strong and protect yourself. Don't lose heart. So all these messages he sends through her. And then after this, the Hamsa is thanked. He says, thank you to the Hamsa, saying, you are my best, you are such a good friend. And may you, he gives a benediction to the Hamsa. May you and your consort, the Rajahamsi, may you both live happily together for very long. And then the poet brings us to the end of the work, and it's a Mangala Samapti. As we know, all our kavyas should have Mangala Arambham and Mangala Antam. So he says, in such a manner, Rama sent his Sandesham, and after that, he went and built the bridge. He killed Dashagriva, who's called as Pankti Griva. Pankti means a row, a man who has, Asura who has a row of heads, a Rakshasa. He killed him, then he regained Sita, and then he came to his Rajyam. He enjoyed the Rajyam for long. That Rajyam, which was so far protected by his Padukas, he now got them back. Then he went on to his Nija Rajadhani, which is Vaikuntham. So, Sandishya evam saha kapikulai setuna langita abdhihi panktigrive yudhi vinihate. Killed, Ravana being killed, prapya Sitam pratitaha Rajyam bhuyaha swayam anubhavan rakshitam padukabhyam Ramaha Shriman atanutanijam rajadhanim sanatham. He made his Vaikuntham Sanatha again. He went back to it again. So Rama is described as Shriman at the first verse and now the very last also. So he's always Shriman. The appearance, the appearance that Shri or Lakshmi or Sita is away from him is only a illusion for us. It's only a Leela. In fact, Rama and Sita or Peruman and Piran and Pirati are inseparable. This is the underlying message by calling him Shriman in the beginning and the end. Then the poet concludes with his own message, saying, this work has been done by me, who is Venkatesha or Venkatanatha. This is a Ratnam too, Sandesha Ratnam. And this one, I have sharpened it, or sorry, I have wetted this against my own stone called Chinta. My own mind, I have sharpened and polished this Ratnam. And this Ratnam, you know that many Ratnams, if they are very auspicious, wherever you keep them, they'll bring good riches and good fortune. So that is this. It gives all kinds of shreyas. And may all the good people enjoy the glow of this Ratnam with their inner eye. But this is a Ratnam where the inner eye has to be reached through the ears, not through the real eyes, because we have to hear this kavyam. Vidyashilpa praguna matina venkateshena kliptam Chinta Shana Ullikhitam. Shana Theatre we say, no? That same word. Chinta Shana Ullikhitam Asakrit Shreyasam Prapti Hetu. Sita Hamsa Vyatikara Sakham Rama Sandesha Ratnam Pashyantu Antashravanam Anagham Chakshur Ujjivya Santaha. So with this I conclude this description, this one about the great saints' work and how he has given us an insight into the mind of Lord Rama and we learn so many things about these kshetras also in the process. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share about this beautiful small work. It was really.
Thank you, Rajani Madam. There was one awesome presentation made by you. In fact, we really appreciate the amount of efforts you have put it to prepare this PowerPoint presentation. You very lucidly explained the slokas to us. In fact, we would like to listen to all the 110 slokas which is there in this kavya. Maybe in course of time, we'll schedule a time schedule with you and we'll get to know all the 110 slokas. Let's now listen to what others have got to say. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an open session now. Over mic, unmute, Solungo, please. Anybody can start.
நமஸ்காரம்.
Namaskar.
நான் ஜீவரேகா பிரசாத் பேசுறேன். மேடம், ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது. அது கமாண்ட் இங்கிலீஷ் சான்ஸ்கிரிட் ரெண்டுமே ரொம்ப சமமா இருந்தது. ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது. ஃப்ளோ வித்தவுட் எனி ஃப்ளா. அப்புறம் பியூட்டிஃபுல் சீனரிஸ். வி ஆல்சோ டிராவல்ட் வித் தி ஹம்சா. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு விவரிச்சு நல்லா சொன்னேன். ரொம்ப அப்படி அதுலயே இதாகி போயிட்டோம் நாங்க. அது இன்பிட்வீன் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நம்ம ஸ்கிரிப்சர்ஸ்லேருந்து அதுவும் எடுத்து சொன்னேன். அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஸ்லோகாஸ்லாம் எக்ஸலண்ட்டாக இருந்தது. அப்புறம் வர்ணனைலாம் அப்போ அது பியூட்டிஃபுல் நேவிகேஷன் பை தி ஆச்சாரியா. ரொம்பவே நல்லா இருந்தது. இது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் நான் கேட்குறேன். கேட்க இன்னும் கேட்டுட்டே இருக்கணும் போல இருக்கு. ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ் மேடம். ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது. வெரி பியூட்டிஃபுல். தேங்க்யூ.
தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச்.
Next, Yasurin. Anybody can say. Kindly unmute your mic and go ahead.
இத முழுக்க படிக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் கொண்டு வந்துட்டேன். ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ். ரொம்ப அழகா இருந்தது. தேங்க்யூ.
ரொம்ப என்ஜாய் பண்ணோம். தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச் ஃபார் த பியூட்டிஃபுல் ஈவினிங் வி ஹேட்.
ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்துச்சு. ரஜினி மேடம், ஸ்ரீவில்லிபுத்தூர் பத்தி ஆண்டாள் பத்தி ஏதாவது ஒரு ஸ்லோகம் வருதா?
இல்ல, பிகாஸ் ஆண்டாள் வந்து கலியுகத்துல பிறந்தா இல்லையா, whereas this is set in Treta யுகம், அதனால இருக்கலாம். He is not mentioned.
Okay.
We know that Deshika was a great devotee of Andal also. Is Godas.
வழியா போனதுனால ஒருவேளை ஸ்ரீவில்லிபுத்தூர் பத்தி சொல்லியிருப்பாரோ அப்படின்னு நினைச்சேன். ரொம்ப ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ். ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு. ரொம்ப என்ஜாய் பண்ணோம்.
மேடம், இன்னொரு விஷயம் நான் சொல்ல மறந்துட்டேன். நீங்க சொன்னீங்கன்னா, நான் நாக்பூர் பக்கத்துல ராமகிரி அப்படின்னு இருக்குன்னு, அது ஆக்சுவலா ராம்டேக்னு இப்பவும் இருக்கு. அங்க ஒரு ராமர் கோவில் இருக்கு. அங்க வந்து சீதா ராமா வந்து வனவாசத்த போது வந்து அங்க கொஞ்ச நேரம் ரெஸ்ட் பண்ணி போனா அப்படின்னுட்டு அங்க இருக்கவெல்லாம் அந்த இதுல எழுதப்பட்டிருக்கு. அதையும் சொல்ல நினைச்சேன் நான். ஆக்சுவலா ராமகிரி அப்ப இருந்திருக்கோம், இப்ப ராம்டேக் அப்படின்ட்டு அதுக்கு பேர் ஆயிருக்கு. அதனால எனக்கு நினைவு நீங்க சொன்ன. தேங்க்யூ. போயிருக்கேன். 2-3 தடவை போயிருக்கோம். நாங்க நாக்பூர்ல இருந்ததால நாங்க எல்லாருமே அங்க போவா. அந்த இப்ப நம்ம கோவில் குளம் போகணும்னா அந்த மாதிரி ராம்டேக் போவா எல்லாரும். அங்க ஒரு எக்ஸலண்ட் நரசிம்ம சுவாமியோட இதுவும் இருக்கு, ஸ்கல்ப்சரும் இருக்கு. அது ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு. அது காளிதாஸ் காலத்துலதான் பண்ணது அப்படின்ட்டு இதெல்லாம் நீங்க சொன்ன உடனே எனக்கு ஒண்ணுக்கு ஒண்ணு அப்படியே ரிலேட்டடா இப்ப எனக்கு நினைவு வருது அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அதுல எழுதி இருக்கு. அதுலயும் எல்லாம். ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ் மேடம். ஓகே.
நிறைய சொல்லலாம். All right, we move the final segment of summarizing the talk and proposing word of thanks. Mr. Subramanian R will do the honors. Subramanian sir, please go ahead.
எல்லாருக்கும் நமஸ்காரம். நான் லாஸ்ட் சொன்னப்பயே சொன்னேன், how Rajani madam is very good in explaining even difficult things in a lucid way. I also got the opportunity to attend a workshop at Tapovan during the Muthuswami Dikshadhar function we had. I could appreciate the amount of knowledge and the amount of humility she exhibits. And it has been a big ocean of knowledge. I'm not trying to tell this to praise her. That is the reality. Anyway, going to my job of proposing a vote of thanks, Varana Mugava Tunai Varuvai Arulvainu Vinayagara கூப்பிட்டு Mrs. Radhika Rajagopalan துவங்கி வச்சா. உமாகிருஷ்ணன் மேடம் ரொம்ப சின்ன இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன் கொடுத்தா. I think she deserves much more than what she gave, and she is very good in Sanskrit, no doubt about it. that got proved the way in which she was delivering the lecture. And we need to know a lot about this. தூதுங்கிறது எல்லா லாங்குவேஜ்லையும் இருக்கு. தமிழ்ல இருக்கு. அது அகிரிணை பொருளாகவும் இருக்கலாம், உயர்திணை பொருளாகவும் இருக்கலாம். ஏன்னா தமிழ்ல ஒரு தூது டொபாக்கோ, புகையிலை விட தூதுன்னு விட்டதா ஒன்று இருக்கு. கிளிய தூது விடுவா, அன்னத்தை தூது விடுவா. ராமன் எடுத்துட்டது நளன் அன்னத்தை தான் பிடிச்சு தமயந்திக்கு தூது விட்டான்னு நம்ம மகாபாரதத்திலேருந்து தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறோம். அந்த அண்ணா அங்க ரொம்ப பயப்படுது. ஏன்னா இவன் கூப்பிடுறப்ப அந்த அண்ணன் நினைச்சுட்டது he is going to eat me up, that is the reason he wants அப்படின்னு நினைச்சுட்டதுன்னு அந்த காவியத்துல சொல்றார். இங்க அப்படி இல்லை. Rama was known to be a very gentle character, and of course she described the life of Vedanta Deshika. அவர் பிறந்த துப்புல். அவர் ஒரு நாளைக்கு கதைகள் வெவ்வேறு மாதிரி இருக்கு. சில கதைகள்ல அவ இது திருமலை போயிருக்கிறப்ப அங்க தங்கி இருக்கிறப்ப அந்த மணி அந்த அம்மா வேதாந்த தேசிகரோட அம்மா சாப்பிட்டுட்டா மாதிரியும் கனவு கண்டா, மறுநாளைக்கு மணியை காணும் கோவில்லன்னு ஒரு கர்ண பரம்பரை கதை இருக்கு. இன்னொரு கதை she dreamt like that. That is why வேதாந்த தேசிகனோட குவாலிட்டிஸ் அசெட். அவர் எழுதின புஸ்தகங்களுக்கு அவர் பாதுகா சகஸ்ரம் ஒரே நாள் ராத்திரியில 1000 ஸ்லோகம் எழுதினான்னு சொல்லுவா. அதெல்லாம் சம்திங் வெரி டிஃபிகல்ட். அஃப்கோர்ஸ் he was advocating a philosophy of Vaishnavism. We are not going to get into those details. And அவர் ஒன்னையும் விட்டு வைக்கிறது இல்லை. ஒரு மேசன் எனக்கு கிணறு கட்டி காட்டுன்னு சொன்னா இவர் உடனே கிணறு கட்டி கரெக்டா அந்த செவரை எடுத்தான்னு ஒரு கதை which she referred today. And inspired by Kalidasa's Meghadutam or HAMSA-SANDESHam, இது வந்ததுன்னா which itself was inspired by Sundarakandam, and Yaksha sends a message over there, and basically the தூதன் அந்த இடத்துக்கெல்லாம் பேர்க்க மாட்டான். he has got to be properly directed. யக்ஷன் அதைத்தான் பண்றான். ராம்கிரி அல்லனா ராம்டேக் ஹில்ஸ்னு பூனால இருக்கு. அப்புறம் அந்த இந்த மவுண்டனுக்கு போறது. அப்புறம் இது பேர் என்ன, சம்பல், அந்த கங்கை, ஹிமாலயெல்லாம் தாண்டி போறது. He was there staying as a punishment, and on the season in which he sent, as she rightly said, it is the season of Varsha Ritu. Whereas இங்க ராமர் அமைச்சது இவர் வருஷ ருத்து முடிஞ்ச உடனே தான் மழைக்காலம் முடியறது. ஐம் ஜஸ்ட் கோயிங் டு ராமாயணா. மழைக்காலத்தில் அவ டிஸ்டர்ப் பண்ணப்படாதுன்னு அவ குகையில தங்கி இருந்தா. சுக்ரீவன் மழைக்காலம் முடிஞ்ச உடனே எல்லாம் பண்ணிவிடலான்னா அந்த போர்ஷன் படிக்க வேண்டியது. அந்த லக்ஷ்மணன் எடுத்துன்னு அங்கே வில்ல சுண்டி விட்டு அந்த நாணை சுண்டி இது பண்ணிடுது. அப்புறம் ஹீ கேம் ஹியர்னு. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஹனுமார் போனது ஷரத் ருத்து, அதுக்கு பின்னாடி வருது. ஏன்னா அன்னங்கள் ஷரத் ருத்து தான் ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும். அது வடக்கேந்து தெக்க போற காலம். அதுல தான் இவர் தூது அனுப்புறார். After all, he just wants to describe, even though he was the incarnation of God, how he suffers trivial things. ஒரு நாளே ரொம்ப ஜாஸ்தியா இருக்கு. ஹனுமார் ரொம்ப இப்படி இருக்கா அப்படி இருக்கா என்னவோ. he created a fear in her probably, fear in Rama probably, because he gave an impression the way in which things are going, she might even not survive for our going over there அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு பயம் வந்துடுத்து. ஏன்னா அவர் சொல்லிவிடலாம் அந்த அம்மா கிளியரா, திங்களொன்றுடன் செய்தவம் தீர்ந்ததால் இங்கு வந்திலனே எனின் கங்கையாற்றங்கரை தன் செங்கையாற்கடன் செய்கின்ற ஜெப்புவாய். ஒரு மாசத்துக்குள்ள அந்த ஆள் இங்க வரலைன்னாக்க அங்கேருந்தே அவன் தர்ப்பணம் பண்ணிட்டு அயோத்திக்கு திரும்பி போட்டோம், இங்க வர வேண்டிய அவசியமே இல்லைன்னு ஒரு பெரிய த்ரெட்டை விட்டுவிடுதா சீதா. ஹி கெட்ஸ் வரி. அந்த ராத்திரி அந்த ஸ்லோகத்துல சொல்றப்ப வேதாந்த தேசிகன் சொல்றான், அந்த ராத்திரி ஒரு யுகம் மாதிரி கழிஞ்சது ராமருக்குன்னு. காலங்காத்தால் அவர் போய் பார்க்கிறார், அந்த குளத்துல அந்த ஹம்சம் இருக்கு. அந்த ஹம்சத்தோட ஜெண்டர் என்னன்னு லேட்டர் பார்ட், செகண்ட் பார்ட் தான் தெரியுது. ஏன்னா ஒன் ஆஃப் த டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன் சேஸ் ராமா அட்ரஸஸ் த ஹம்சா as சார் சார் சார்னு. அது ரொம்ப இது என்னன்னாக்க, யாரு போறாளோ அவளை குஷிப்படுத்தி மரியாதை கொடுனா தான் உங்க வேலையை செய்வா. நீங்க மாட்டில் ஜஸ்ட் பிகாஸ் இவர் சக்கரவர்த்தி திருமகன் அன்னத்தை ஆர்டர் பண்ணினா ஒன்றும் பண்ணாதது. அதனால என்ன பண்றார், முதல்ல அதை புகழறார். நீ எவ்வளவு உயர்ந்த இது, திருமாலோட நாபிக்கமலத்துல உதிச்ச பிரம்மதேவனுக்கு வாகனமா இருக்க நீ, உன்னோட நிறத்தை வச்சுட்டு தான் சரஸ்வதி தேவி வெள்ளப்புடவையை கட்டின்னு இருக்கா. He just sees to it. The Annam feels that he is rather going to be playing an important role. அது கேட்கறது, நீங்கள்லாம் உயர்தினை ஆளுங்க, நாங்க என்ன எதுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி பிடிச்சுன்னு தொங்குறேன்னு கேட்கறது. அதுக்கு சொல்றார், உன்ன மாதிரி அவளை வேகமா போக முடியாது, அவ என்ன பண்ணுவளோ தெரியாது, அதனாலதான் நீ போகணுங்கிறா. அண்ணன் கேட்கறதோ கேட்கலையோ இவர் வழியை சொல்ல ஆரம்பிக்கிறார். அந்த வழியை சொல்ற அழகுதான் ரெண்டு புத்தகத்துல முதல் பாட்டு வழியை தேடிண்டு அது ஸ்ரீலங்கா போறது. அப்புறம் செகண்ட் பார்ட் சீதையை பத்தி வர்ணிச்சு எப்படி அவளை கம்ஃபர்ட் பண்றதுங்கிறது. தட் இஸ் வாட் த 110 verses are all about. அதுக்கப்புறம் பொயட்டிக் இமேஜினேஷன் பற்றி நிறைய இடத்துல சொன்னார். அண்டு அதை படிக்கிறதுக்கு எனக்கு அவ்வளோ தூரம் பரிச்சயம் இல்லாததுனால கடாமுடான்னு படிச்சுட்டு இருந்தேன். இப்போ அதை 17 syllables இருக்குங்கிறதுனால ஒரு தடவை படித்து பார்க்கணும்னு எனக்கு தோணித்து. ஏன்னா ஒரு தெரியாதப்ப சாந்தாகாரம் புஜயசேனம் சொல்லிக்கலாம். அந்த 17 syllables are very clear because that has gone into our mind. அதை மந்தாக்ரந்தாங்கிற ஒரு மீட்டர் இருக்குன்னு சொன்னால் that is a very very important information. இதில் எந்த தூதிலையும் சிருங்கார ரசம் இல்லாமல் போகாது. வேதாந்த தேசிகன் அதை டெம்பர் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருக்கார். அது செகண்ட் பார்ட் ஆஃப் இந்த செகண்ட் சாப்டரில் தான் அது வெளிவருது. வேற காளிதாசன் எழுதினத்துல the overtone is of Sringara Rasa. She really explained it well. Then we started going அந்த எங்கெங்க போகணும்னு ரொம்ப கேர்ஃபுல்லாக சொல்றார். இந்த பொன்மகள் யாத்துக்கு போகிறப்ப அது ஒரு 2 இடத்துல வார்ன் பண்ணுறான்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நீ மாட்டலாம் அந்த இடம் ரொம்ப நன்னா இருக்குன்னு அங்கேயே இருந்துடாத, உன்னோட வேலை தனி, யூ நீட் டு கோ, நீ ரெஸ்ட் எடுத்துக்கோ. ஏன்னா இது எனக்கு ஒரு ஸ்மால் பர்சனல் ஸ்டோரி ஒன்று கொண்டு வந்தது என் மைண்டில். பிகாஸ் ஐ காட் சம் emotional attachment to buy something. It may be a trivial thing. When my wife and Naanu porappa, first she says, we will go and buy that thing which is more important. Adu veru ooraki kharanga vaangrada kuda irukkalam. Whereas our purpose is to go and buy a silk sari or small jewelry, because my heart won't be there. I will be thinking of buying something which is more closer to my heart. So she says, let us finish this. First couple of times I thought she really means taking my interest. Later I realized that unless I do what I want, my heart and mind won't be with her and making a selection. Either one of the commentaries, one of the writers, I don't know, remember the thing, but it is very important. You just go over there னு சொல்றா. ஒவ்வொரு இடமா அழகா அந்த வேதாந்த தேசிகன் டிஸ்கிரைப் பண்றார். அப்புறம் வந்து என்னென்ன சொல்றாருன்னா பிரைசஸ் த பேர்ட் இன் மெனி வேஸ். அதுக்கப்புறம் லவ்லி சைட்ஸ் ஆஃப் த மால்யவான் மவுண்டன். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஆந்திரா கர்நாடகாவில் அவ கரும்பையும் நெல்லையும் அவ வந்து பார்த்துட்டு இருப்பா. அவ நல்ல வாய்ஸில் பற்பல பாடல்கள் பாடுவா. நீ அதில் மயங்கி போய் எங்கே நின்றுடாதே. வெரி இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டு. இவ்வளோ ப்ரைஸ் பண்ணி நம்ம வேலையை செய்யலைன்னா என்ன பண்ணுறது? அதுதான் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டு. அண்ட் தே வில் பி வெரி மச் டிலைட்டட் டு சி அப்படின்னு சொல்லி, அண்ட் டோன்ட் யூனோ hurry for my sake, don't stay somewhere, hurry for my sake. நீ என்னோட மிஷன் என்னத்தில் இருக்குன்னு தெரிஞ்சுண்டு போ. உனக்கு ஃபார்ச்சுனேட்லி வாட் யூ ஹாவ் இஸ், உனக்கு எப்பொழுதும் மேகங்கள் வந்து கொடை மாதிரி உன்னை காப்பாத்தின்னு இருக்கும், காத்துன்னு இருக்கும். யூ வில் ரியலி என்ஜாய் இட். அப்புறம் ஹி ஸ்டார்டட் டாக்கிங் அபவுட் த தொண்டை மண்டலத்தை பற்றி பேசுகிறா. காஞ்சிபுரத்தில் வந்த உடனே பெரிய பிரேக் போட்டு விடுறார்கள். ஏன்னா அவருக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச ஊர் அது. அதுவும் அந்த காஞ்சிபுரம் வரதராஜரை பற்றி பேசுகிறப்ப அவர் வந்து பச்சைமா மலை போல் மேனிங்கிறத ஒரு பெரிய மேகத்துக்குள்ள உனக்கு போகிற மாதிரி இருக்கும். அப்படியெல்லாம் இல்லை. அவர் வக்ரஸ்தலத்தில் லக்ஷ்மியை வச்சுட்டு இருக்கார். இஸ் carved out of emerald and Lakshmi is in the chest. That is a cloud of compassion. And he describes the Vishnuவை பற்றி டிஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுறார். Then we move over to Madam very nicely explained the ஸ்ரீரங்கம் எக்ஸிஸ்ட் ஆச்சா என்னையான்னு ஒரு கொஸ்டின் வந்து. ஏன்னா விபீஷ்ணு அப்போ கொண்டு போகல. அதனால அவ என்ன சொல்றா, அது வந்து வரப்போறதுங்கிறத அவ சொல்லி, இட் இஸ் கோயிங் டு பி த சேஷபீட்டம், வரப்போறது, அங்கே ப்ரே பண்ணிட்டு போன்னு சொல்றா. அப்புறம் புண்டரீக பெருமாளை பற்றி நல்லா டிஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணா. அந்த பிக்சர் ஆஃப் த டெம்பிள் வாஸ் ஆல்சோ ஷோன் டு அஸ். அதுக்கப்புறம் பாண்டிய தேசம் போகிறப்ப திருவிளையாடல் புராணத்தில் அவருக்கு இருக்கிற பாண்டித்யத்தை சொன்னா. அந்த இந்திரன் வந்து வளையறிந்த படலத்தை பற்றி சொன்னா. தட் மீன்ஸ் தட் யூ ஜஸ்ட் கோ ஓவர் தேர். ஐ மீன் தட் இஸ் த ஏரியல் ரூட். He thought it is as we go in these days in aircrafts, there is a route that follow. இஷ்டப்படி குறுக்க நெடுக்க நம்மளால் விட்டு போக முடியாது. அது வந்து இங்கேருந்து போச்சுன்னா இந்தந்த இடத்துக்கு போகணுன்னு தான் இருக்க முடியும். நம்ம இப்போ when we want to fly from let's say Bombay to Chennai, நம்ம குறுக்க போக முடியாது. we just come to பெல்காம் போகணும். பெல்காம் போயிட்டு அங்கேருந்து திருமலா வழியாக வந்து அந்த ரூட்டில் தான் போகணும். So lest the swan goes out of the way, he describes and tells him that he should go this way. கள்ளழகர் கோயிலுக்கு போய் நூபுர கங்கையை பாருங்கிறார். அது நூபுர கங்கை, மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் அஸ் கோ ஓவர் தேர். அது அந்த முருகன் கோவில் இருக்கிறதுக்கு பக்கத்தில் இருக்கு. ஐ ஆம் ஷூர் மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் அஸ் விசிட்டட். தாமிரபரணி ஆற்றுக்கு அவ்வளவு இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுத்ததா தெரியல. நீ போகிறப்ப தாமிரபரணி ஆற்றுக்கு போடுவே, நீ அப்புறம் கடலுக்கு போயிடுவே. அங்கே நன்னா ரெஸ்ட் எடுத்துன்னு ஃப்ளை பண்ணு. எங்கேயாவது இவ்வளோ சிரமத்தோடு ஃப்ளை பண்ணிட்டு ஆஃப் த வே ஃப்ளை பண்ணிட்டு டோன்ட் ஸ்ட்ரகிள். டேக் லாட் ஆஃப் ரெஸ்ட் அண்ட் கோ ஃப்ரம் தேர். கிவ் இட்ஸ் அட்வைஸ். பட் ராமா, whenever though he seeks a lot of help from the Hamsa, he is very firm in describing what the swan should be doing, what should be the sequence in which it should be flying, what are the minimum things it should do, and pray so that its mission becomes successful. Apart from money, whatever punyas that are there on the way is something that is, one has to understand. இதெல்லாம் பாடம் கேட்க வேண்டிய ஒரு காவியங்களை தவிர்த்து லெக்சர் கேட்கக்கூடிய காவியங்கள் இல்லை. தட் இஸ் வாட் ஐ ஃபீல். அண்ட் ஸ்ரீலங்காவுக்கு போயிட்டு நீங்கள் கவலைப்படாது. ஏன்னா த பியூட்டி இஸ், முதல் நாள் ராத்திரி வந்திருக்காரு இவர். மறுநாளைக்கு போனோடனே அங்கே வந்து அவங்க விஸ்வகர்மாலாம் அந்த எரிஞ்சு போன பில்டிங்கத்தெல்லாம் ரிப்பேர் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கான். அது இதுக்கு போய் சேர்றதுக்கு அன்னத்துக்கு நாள் ஆகும். அதனால அவர் அந்த டைம்ல என்ன மனசுல வச்சுட்டு அதுக்குள்ள ரிப்பேர் பண்ணியிருப்பா. ஏன்னா விஸ்வகர்மா வாஸ் ரியலி அஃப்ரைட் ஆஃப் ராவணா. தோ ராவணா இஸ் பொலைட், he is with the iron fist with a silky glove. அந்த மாதிரி. அதனால அவனோடு தெரிஞ்சு விஸ்வகர்மா புனருத்தாரணம் பண்ணியிருக்கிற சிட்டியை நீ பார்ப்ப. அங்க திண்டாடாத, இந்த இடத்துல இருக்கா. அந்த நகையெல்லாம் அனுசூயா கொடுத்த நகையெல்லாம் அங்க கட்டி தொங்க விட்டுருக்கா சிம்சுபா விருட்சத்து மேல. ரொம்ப கவலைப்பட்டு இருக்காவோ. அவளை அடுத்த ஒரு 31 வருஷஸ்ல வாட் இஸ் த கண்டிஷன் அண்ட் why should she keep a very bold heart and giving her assurance that he will be there and don't do anything that is stupid in the meantime. Not only that, many people have suffered such things in life and they have got prosperity. There is no need for you to worry. I am on the way, you inform. அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அந்த ராம பட்டாபிஷேகமும் அவர் தன்னை பற்றி அவர் சொல்றார். இந்த மாதிரி பீப்புள் என்ஜாய் த்ரூ இந்த இதை படிக்கணும். இந்த இன்னர் மைண்டுக்கு எவ்வளவு ஹாப்பினஸை கொடுக்குங்கிற வேதாந்த தேசிகனோட காவியத்தை ஒரு போர்ஷன் ஆஃப் இட் ஷி வெண்ட் இன் டீட்டெயில். பட் த லேட்டர் போர்ஷன் ஃபார் த மெச்சூர்ட் ஆடியன்ஸ் இஸ் பிரிட்டி இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங். As our leader, Mr. K. Subramaniam said, we will have some time when she will be able to give. I am sure she need not do much of research because she has the knowledge as if at the back of her palm. It is just a question of finding time to spend with us. As I know her well, I can tell you she is a person who is focused whatever she does. I am sure she can give a lecture with alacrity within a short time. Thanks a lot, madam, for your lecture. We did have an enjoyable evening and all the best. And of course, we keep expecting more lectures from you. My best wishes once again. Thanks to everyone who made this program interesting and possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the recap.
Thank you, Subramanian sir, for the wonderful submission as always. Thank you, Rajani madam, for your valuable time. Thank you, Uma madam, for the introduction. Thank you, Radhika madam, for the excellent prayer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the show. The recording will be uploaded to YouTube sometime tomorrow and link will be provided. And share the link as widely as possible. And that's a wrap up all of us over here. Until we meet next, just wishing you all goodbye, good night, and Shubh Ratri.